Hey, thank you for joining me today. And I want to apologize for the sounds that might. Ooh, I look really bad. Okay, I want to apologize for the sounds that you might hear in the background because there is like a weed whacker and some other related things happening outside. So I apologize for what will sound like some sort of natural disaster happening while I'm speaking. Well, my name is Paula, if you're tuning in for the first time, and I just kind of ramble about things related to being an INFP, which is what I am. Today I was going to talk about INFPs, and some of us have to deal with chronic illness and how that affects us. Um, and chronic illness can be, there's so many different types. A lot of people have like irritable bowel syndrome. What's another one? Like lupus, some forms of other forms of arthritis, chronic fatigue. There's tons of them. The three that I have are it's something really weird. It's a thyroid disorder, which is why in some of my videos I'm like this big, and in others I look like I do now. It's a thyroid disorder called Graves, where your thyroid bounces back from hypo to hyper, hypo to hyper. So you lose weight, you gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. Your metabolism is just all over the place. And also, sometimes you almost die for just random reasons. It's fun. The other chronic illness I have is type 1 diabetes. I was diagnosed with that like 2 years ago. So it's weird that it was caught as an adult and not when I was a child, because most doctors catch it like when you're a child. But apparently, I'd been living with it for a long time and did not know. And the doctors were too, I don't want to say mean things. Never mind. The doctors did not catch it. And I didn't either, which I'm kind of dumb for not catching it. And the third thing I have is celiac disease, which means your body basically, to like say it as simply as possible, your body refuses to digest gluten. It also refuses to digest a host of other foods. Um, and if you eat those foods, even though your body is rebelling against them, eventually you probably will get some sort of stomach or bowel related cancer. Not fun to live with any of those things or any other chronic illness. So, how does that affect us when we're INFPs? Well, I thought of three ways that it's affected me. And if you can think of more, please leave your experiences in the comments section, because it helps to like talk about this and realize that we're not alone in dealing with this, because you can feel really, I know sometimes I feel like super alone in dealing with this crap, because it's crap. The first thing is INFPs. One of the comforts that we have as being homebodies who like to get away from people quite frequently is we love to curl up with our favorite food and watch Netflix or read a book. But when you have a chronic illness, your eating options, your food options are severely limited typically. Um, I know, like, just in my case with the celiac, I can't eat anything with gluten. And yesterday, for example, I had a little stupid breakdown because lately, just the food that I have has tasted so bland, and I was like, you know what? I miss Taco Bell. I miss like being able to go to Taco Bell and just get whatever I wanted from the menu. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go to Taco Bell and get some guacamole because that has no gluten. And I'm going to get some of their like taco sauces in little packets. And I'm just going to bring it home and pour that taco sauce on whatever it is that I cook. And then I'll feel better. So I got home yesterday and I made like, I made some rice, which sounds really cheesy, but I don't know. It's bland and whatever. So I made some rice and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this taco sauce on it. And then I proceed to open the packet and it's like contains wheat. And wheat is, it's gluten basically. So I was like, no, I can't even eat this. So that's just a little example. You can't run to, I don't know, Chick-fil-A and grab like a chicken sandwich or some chicken tenders while everybody else around you is eating Raisin Cane's chicken fingers, you can't. It's just really depressing. So the eating restrictions suck for INFPs. And also, we're already limited socially a lot of times because even though we love people, it does drain our energy a bit to be around people. So we're very particular about how long we allow ourselves to be around people and who we choose to be around. And a lot of times, because we love food, we love to interact with people, like at restaurants. That used to be one of my favorite things to do. Just go with friends to a restaurant and eat and eat and eat. And when the people drain your energy, well, the food's there. So you can just focus on eating, and which is, I sound horrible, but that's true. I just love eating. But when you have those food restrictions, you can't just go to a restaurant and eat and enjoy the food. You have to go there and get like a piece of lettuce. And while everyone else is eating delicious food, you're eating a piece of lettuce like a rabbit, and you are not a rabbit. So, do you deal with that too? I don't know. It's just really annoying. Oh, one more thing, and then I'll move on to the next subject. This was really annoying to me. Like when you try to explain this to medical professionals, um, you're trying to explain to them the challenges that you have with food. Like, for example, rice. Rice is very cheap. I don't make a lot of money. I am poor. And so I often get rice, even though rice is inflammatory to your body. Like rice and potatoes, some of the cheapest foods ever and most filling, of course, they are inflammatory to people who have chronic illness. But you know what? Sometimes I don't have the money to buy the expensive, nice, gluten-free vegan food. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to get this huge bag of rice. Also, sometimes my family, they get huge bags of rice and they give it to me for free. So I'm like, well, I'll take something free. But when I eat the rice, I get sick. Not as sick as if I'd eaten gluten, but I still do get sick. So when I've presented these problems, because it's not just the rice, there's lots of other foods with this same problem. I presented that to my healthcare professionals, to dietitians, to doctors, to nurses, and been like, do you have any suggestions? Is there some other option? Is there cheap food somewhere? I don't know how to deal with this. One nurse, she kind of bit my head off and she said, you need to view food as not something to enjoy, but just as fuel. And that made me so angry when she said that. I just kind of looked at her and I wanted to ask her, is that how you view food? Do you yourself choose to just eat because you have to? Because like one of the few joys that someone who is, not in the best place in life, one of the few joys that they have is eating. And now they want to take that away too and add that to the pain of having chronic illness and living in practical poverty and just not, I don't know. It's just, I guess the lack of empathy, what I'm trying to say is the lack of empathy from like members of the healthcare community can be really annoying. And not everyone is like that in healthcare. Like I've had one dietitian, she didn't know what to recommend to me. Actually, two dietitians. Neither of them really knew what to recommend. They were just like, well, drink some Ensure. I tried it. That stuff tastes nasty, but whatever. But they were really, really nice and very, very empathetic. And they did say, if this happened to me, they were putting themselves in the patient's shoes. They were like, if this happened to me, I would be really upset. And I would be like, I wouldn't know what to do either. So it's nice when you do have a healthcare professional who's very empathetic. It's just that sometimes there are those who are more harsh and who are just like, why are you making such a big deal about what you can't eat? Just eat this tasteless cracker that has no gluten and is made of like, I don't know, farts, and be happy with that. So yeah, okay, enough rambling about that. The next thing that can affect an INFP is are the mood swings that come with having a chronic illness. Because usually, like a lot of autoimmune disorders and immune disorders have something to do with hormones. I'm not sure how all of this work, and even doctors don't seem to be able to explain it very clearly when I ask. But a lot of times, things seem to go back to the pituitary gland, and they have something to do also with the thyroid. And both of those things have a lot to do with controlling the hormones, the amount of hormones and the type of hormones that are sent out throughout your body. And our hormones control lots of things, from our metabolism to our moods to our life perception. Um, thank you for the comment. Um, let's see. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. It's Mormagil? You said, I agree. I had a stroke a couple of years ago, and the lack of empathy of the medical system was shocking, at least to me as an INFP. I'm so sorry that you went through that. Like a stroke, that's difficult. My mother has had like maybe 3 strokes right now, and that is very difficult. And it's hard when you have a healthcare professional who lacks empathy. I'm really sorry you went through that. And I hope that eventually you find someone in the healthcare community who is more understanding, because that's really necessary. And I hope you have family and friends who can help out too. And going back to the thing about the hormones, a lot of times the amount of those two things control like the amount of hormones that are sent into the body, as well as the type of hormones. And when something is off kilter, too much, like maybe testosterone, I'm just using that as an example, I don't know, too much testosterone, it will be like, woo, to the roof. And all of a sudden, you're like aggressive and angry. And you're like, why am I so? I know with me, I start wondering because I'm always gauging myself. And as an INFP, you probably are too. You gauge yourself like, why do I suddenly feel aggressive? I'm not normally an aggressive person. So what happens to me a lot of times is I'm just sitting there like feeling weird emotions, and I'm trying to figure out, is this did I eat something that affected the celiac? Or is my blood sugar off because of the diabetes? Or did I forget to take my thyroid medicine and now that's messing up my mood? What is going on with me? Or is this just a bad situation that I'm in and I'm not realizing it with my brain, but my mood, my body is like, I don't know. So I'm just trying to figure things out. And usually I look probably constipated because I'm sitting there like in a bad mood and I don't know why. And it makes the people, I've noticed that when that happens, it makes the people around me think that I don't like them. And it's not that I don't like them, it's just that I feel strange and I don't know why. And I'm trying to figure it out. And yes, I am in a bad mood because in addition to being in pain from the other things that are going on, I'm also now feeling angry for no reason. Seemingly no reason. So I'm just sitting there trying to figure it out, and there's a weird look on my face, and I'm not talking. So it makes relationships with other people difficult. Chronic illness does. I at least for me, I don't know if that's something that you've experienced as well, if you're an INFP dealing with that. Because the thing about us is, and maybe you found this to be true also, even without chronic illness, it can be INFPs sometimes we can have this blank look on our face that makes people think we're either disconnected from what's going on or we don't care. But it's just like a screensaver face that we don't even realize we have. We're just sitting there, like being quiet, taking things in, or maybe we are daydreaming a little bit. And it makes people think things about us that are not accurate. Like I know a lot of people think that I'm dumb when they first meet me. Well, it's 2 things usually. Either they think I'm really smart because I'm quiet, and I'm just like, if I'm in a focused mood, I'll be like really quiet and listening. And I think I'm really, really smart, which I'm not. I'm just average. Or they think I'm really dumb, which I don't know. Maybe that is true, but I don't think I'm that dumb. Um, if I'm in like a goofy mood and I'm just kind of smiling and sitting there with my screensaver smile and laughing at everything, because apparently I do laugh at everything. So they think I'm really stupid. It's so you're already kind of misunderstood usually as an INFP, and when you have a chronic illness that affects your moods, it can make you even more misunderstood, which another sucky thing. The third thing is the worst to me. Well, no, I think the eating part is worse, but this one's really, really bad. It is the gaslighting. Okay, even before like my diagnosis, I realized that for some reason, for reasons that I did not understand, it seemed like people kind of, I felt like people looked down on me. I felt like they didn't think I was very smart, generally speaking, that I did not have much to offer. Um, and that when I said things, they were questioned. At least in my family, a lot of times that's how it was, unfortunately. Like, I have an older brother who is often referred to as brilliant, and he is very smart. He's a great guy. But growing up in our family, he was always like the genius. But when I would say something, I'd say, because I love science and I love like history and things like that. And when I would say something that I learned, the response usually from my parents would be, "Who told you that?" Like they wouldn't believe me. And I'd be like, "Oh, National Geographic or whatever, wherever I got it from." And that kind of also happened in school. And I would try to figure out like why don't people kind of like respect me? Is it my voice? And I do have a really light voice, and I do like gesture a lot and talk like this a lot. So maybe that's why. And then when I started studying more about like personalities, I realized that a lot of INFPs go through the same thing, especially female INFPs, because a lot of times we're like soft spoken and we're not aggressive. So our tone of voice and our mannerisms are not aggressive usually. We're not like, this is a fact. We're like, oh, this is a fact, maybe, I think. So that's probably why. Well, the thing is, when you're like that and you have weird symptoms that come with having a chronic illness, but those symptoms are not things that are visible usually. They're just things that happen on the inside. Like aches, weird aches and pains. Like some mornings I get up, I can't walk for whatever reason, whatever my body is doing that day, I just can't walk. And then there would be like other times where I'd eat certain foods and like one part of my body would just break out like horribly. Um, or, things like that. And when you try to explain that to other people, or they might be like, "What's wrong with you?" It's like, "I couldn't walk yesterday." You couldn't walk? And they're like, "What'd you do?" I didn't do anything. I just woke up, I couldn't walk. And they're like, mm-hmm, right. Um, where they don't really believe you. And then eventually that not believing turns into, you know, I think you might have a little problem. I think that a lot of the things that you're experiencing are in your head. So it's kind of like they start gaslighting you and make you think that something is wrong with you mentally because of what you're experiencing in your body. Um, and that is something that happened to me. Like before I was diagnosed, I broke out. It was like the week of my brother's wedding. I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I got really, really sick. And I broke out in like these horrible, horrible hives. I felt like the biblical character Job for a little bit. It was terrible, terrible. And I also couldn't eat. I couldn't stomach keep anything down. It was not like a viral infection. I didn't know. It wasn't a flu. It was nothing like that. Now I know that it's celiac disease. But anyhow, I didn't know it was wrong. And I remember someone in my family saying, you know, Sometimes when these things happen, it's all up here. It's because we allow stress to get to us so much that we create our own hives. And I was like, because I was so naive and I didn't understand what's happening, I was like, maybe she's right. Maybe I'm crazy. So, yeah, you get gaslighted even after being diagnosed. I know, like, when my thyroid was doing the opposite of what it's doing right now, and I got like super, super thin, I had friends who are like, "You have an eating disorder." It's like, I don't think I have an eating disorder. I eat plenty. I think something's wrong with my body. No, you have an eating disorder. So, and it's like, what can you? I don't know. I don't know. It was really annoying. So, um, the thing is, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with the eating restrictions, the moodiness, and the gaslighting? Um, and I honestly don't know. Um, well, with the gaslighting, I've learned to have a thicker skin, I guess, and just be like my feeling now when people say things like that is just like, okay, if it makes them feel better to think that I'm making this up, okay, that's fine. Because I mean, I know I'm not making it up. My doctors know I'm not making it up. The couple times I've been in the hospital and nearly died, that told me I'm not making this up. So if that's what they want to think, that's fine. So that I think, like with gaslighting, just learning to let people believe whatever they want to believe. Sometimes that's the best way to deal with it. Um, as far as the moodiness and how that affects our social interactions and our relationships with others, I really don't know how to navigate that yet. So if you have any suggestions on how to like maintain your friendships and your a close bond with your significant other, despite the mood swings that come with chronic illness, please feel free to advise or leave a comment about it or something, or make your own video about it because I would watch it because I need to know that. And also advice about like, how do you deal with the eating restrictions? Is there, and do you have like a favorite comfort food that you can eat that makes you feel a little better? Um, All right. Well, I guess that's it for today. I hope this wasn't like too dark and bleak. It's just that I don't know. I just feel like sometimes it's good to share these sadder parts of life with others because otherwise you can feel like you're going through it all by yourself. Like I said at the outset of this video, because I know for a while I felt like I was going through it all by myself. And then one thing I did, and this might be an answer to the moodiness question. One thing I did do is go to Facebook groups and I joined like some groups for the particular chronic illnesses that I have, like the diabetes and the celiac. There's people who have both of those. And because there are like certain things you have to live with that people in that specific part of the community have to deal with, in joining that group and seeing all the comments that other people post and being like, oh my God, I deal with those exact same things. I was like, I'm not alone. And now sometimes when I have a question, I'll post it to that group and then tons of people will respond. And that really helps. Also, joining INFP groups on Facebook. That really helps too. So I hope that this video was helpful as well to someone out there. And thank you, Morma Jill, for commenting. And you're right, only assertive and confident people thrive. Oh, you said only assertive and confident people thrive in the US, I fear. Who knows? Maybe so. But thank you so much for joining, and I hope that you have a good day. Bye.